Hey, look, instead of a shampoo, she's been brainwashed.
Stop it!
She was given a Puerto Rico and now she's queer for Uncle Sam.
Oh, no. That's not true.
West Side Story looked like a love story, dressed in dance shoes, but behind the choreography was exhaustion, heartbreak, and real pain. From rivalry that turned real, to an ending that broke every heart, to a heroine whose own voice was taken away. Here are 15 facts you won't believe. Number 15. On set, director and choreographer Jerome Robbins urged the Sharks and Jets to keep their distance, not out of cruelty, but craft. He wanted their rivalry to simmer naturally. Soon, meals were separate, jokes faded, and tension filled the rehearsal halls. The young dancers, already competitive, started glaring instead of grinning. It worked too well, Russ Tamblyn, who played Riff, recalled. The divide gave the fights raw realism, but left bruises that weren't choreographed. By the time filming ended, relief and guilt mixed. Just like the story they'd been telling all along.
And you still don't know. He is one of them! No, Anita. Yes! A boy like that would kill your brother. Forget that boy.
Number 14. When actress Rita Moreno filmed A Boy Like That, her rage and heartbreak came from life, not script. No one on set knew what she was really fighting through. She later admitted she was reliving trauma from past abuse, channeling years of silence into Anita's fury. Between takes, she trembled so hard, crew members stood frozen, unsure whether to comfort her or keep rolling. Rita said later, "I wasn't acting, I was finally speaking." In that moment, pain found its voice, and a simple performance became art that still reverberates 60 years later. Number 13. Natalie Wood entered West Side Story with hope, her chance to prove she could sing, feel, and carry a film as Maria, the young romantic lead. She spent weeks recording every song, her tone trembling but honest. Then came the betrayal. The studio quietly replaced her vocals with professional singer Marnie Nixon's. Natalie only discovered it near completion. Friends remembered her withdrawing, saying softly, "It's not me anymore." She'd poured her heart into every note, only to have it dubbed away. Number 12. Jerome Robbins demanded dancers go beyond precision. He wanted emotion carved into their bones. He rehearsed for weeks, repeating moves until feet bled through shoes. Rita Moreno called it brutal and breathtaking. Some broke down in tears, others collapsed from exhaustion. Robbins believed pain built truth, but his obsession grew so costly that the studio fired him mid-production. The cast refused to let his vision die. Even after he was gone, they whispered his counts and followed his choreography. Every spin and leap still bears his mark, a reminder that great art endures long after its maker is gone. Number 11. Hollywood loved to showcase diversity on screen while quietly erasing it behind the scenes. Even Rita Moreno, a Puerto Rican woman playing a Puerto Rican role, was told to darken her skin. The studio makeup smelled of chemicals and humiliation. "You're not brown enough," someone told her. She later called it the lowest moment of my career. The irony was devastating. A film about prejudice, perpetuating it on set. Yet Rita stayed, channeling the sting of that insult into Anita's pride and defiance. Her pain became performance, and her performance became history, burning brighter than the makeup ever could.
Imagine being afraid of you.
You see?
I see you.
Oh, Maria, see only me.
Number 10. After Natalie Wood's mysterious death in 1981, West Side Story became more than a movie. It became memory. And decades later, that famous balcony scene carried a haunting new weight. Co-star Richard Bamer said watching her again felt haunting, like seeing a spirit alive. The balcony scene between Maria and Tony, once pure joy, turned heartbreak. Her laughter, her eyes, her effortless warmth, all suddenly carried the weight of farewell. Decades later, viewers still feel it, joy and tragedy bound together in one perfect moment. What began as a tale of young love became, with time, a cinematic seance, a reminder that art can make someone live forever even when they're long gone. Number 9. When West Side Story premiered in 1961, it wasn't just a musical, it was a mirror held to America. Its raw look at street life, prejudice, and restless youth hit close to home in an era of sweeping change. Some viewers called it daring, even unsettling for showing an America struggling to understand itself. But young audience felt recognized in its rhythm and restlessness, the anger, the hope, the longing to belong. At a time when Hollywood often looked away, West Side Story looked straight at the streets and found truth in what it saw. Number 8. The rooftop performance of America looks like a celebration, but behind the camera, it was survival. Shot on a blazing Los Angeles rooftop, the tar hit 110 degrees. Rita Moreno's heels softened in the heat, melting into the surface. Sweat pouring into her eyes as she spun, yet she refused to stop, laughing through pain just to keep morale alive. If I hadn't laughed, I'd have cried, she recalled. When the final take ended, she collapsed in triumph. What audiences saw as joy was endurance in disguise, proof that sometimes pain dances best when no one can see it. Number 7. To capture authenticity, casting directors brought in real New York teens for background scenes, many from neighborhoods scarred by gang violence. Their walk, their talk, even the quiet between them came from experience. George Chakiris, who played Bernardo, said their energy changed everything, grounding Hollywood fantasy in real fear and pride. They weren't method actors, they were survivors giving truth to fiction. When the rumble played out, their movements carried ghosts of real fights lost and friends buried. For kids used to being overlooked, West Side Story gave them something powerful, a story where they finally mattered.
But it's not us. It's everything around us.
Number 6. In private notes from that period, Natalie would confess to bouts of insecurity, afraid she wasn't as talented as the dancers around her. On set, she often looked down between takes, shy but determined. That fragility bled into Maria's innocence. You can see it in her trembling smiles, the pauses before she speaks, the way her eyes search Tony's face for reassurance. She once said she understood Maria's longing because it's what every woman feels, to be truly seen. That honesty gave her performance a heartbeat no dubbing could erase, the quiet cry of a woman becoming visible. Number 5. When Rita Moreno's name was called at the 1962 Academy Awards, she froze in disbelief. Then she rushed to the stage, managed 11 trembling words. "I can't believe it. Good Lord." I leave you with that. And fled before tears overtook her. Backstage, she sobbed into her hands. For years, she'd been typecast as background color in other people's stories. That night, she became the story. Rita later said, "It didn't fix everything, but it told me I belonged." Her tears that night weren't weakness, they were victory finally allowed to fall. Number 4. In the film's final moments, when Tony dies in Maria's arms, Natalie Wood's sobs blur the line between acting and truth. She'd spent hours crying before the take, exhausted but unwilling to fake the emotion. Crew members recall that when the cameras rolled, the set fell silent. Director Robert Wise said her rawness stilled the room. That quiet carried into the final edit, turning grief into poetry. Whether or not someone actually forgot to call cut hardly matters. What's real is her heartbreak. Maria's trembling cry became Natalie's own, echoing across decades as a sound no music could ever drown out. Number 3. West Side Story broke new ground on screen, but behind the scenes, not every barrier moved as quickly. Several of the Latino cast members who poured themselves into the film struggled to find steady work afterward. Their talent was praised, but opportunities were few. Hollywood celebrated their story, but not always their voices. Rita Moreno later called the experience bittersweet, We were visible, but still limited. For every door the movie opened, another seemed to close. The tragedy of West Side Story wasn't just in its ending, it lingered into the dreams it left waiting. Number 2. The film's closing silence wasn't improvised, it was chosen. Directors Wise and Robbins agreed that after so much sound and fury, grief needed quiet. But the weight behind the silence came from the cast themselves. They lived this story for months. When Tony fell, exhaustion and sorrow merged. That hush became the film's soul, a grief too sacred for a soundtrack. Decades later, the silence still speaks louder than any finale. Proof that sometimes the most powerful note in music is the one left unplayed. Number 1. During playback of Tonight, composer Leonard Bernstein, who wrote the film's iconic score, stood behind the soundboard and wept. "That's love that refuses to die," he whispered. Those words became the heartbeat of the movie. Every melody, every step circled that belief. That love can burn through hate even if it destroys itself in the process. 60 years later, audiences still feel that pulse. Behind the tragedy lies defiance, a song that refuses silence. West Side Story is many things: romance, rebellion, and a song for the lost. But most of all, it's proof that love, once set to music, can outlive every wound it leaves behind. Bonus fact: decades later, Rita Moreno still struggles to watch West Side Story without tears. "It's like reading my own diary," she said, a love letter written in pain. The film that made her immortal also exposed her deepest scars. She watches the dances and remembers the heat, the humiliation, the triumph. "It's everything I lived through, on screen and off." Time softened the memories, but never erased them. For Rita, West Side Story is both wound and wonder. Proof that some stories don't fade. They echo, they ache, and they keep singing long after the curtain falls. If this brought back memories, drop your favorite West Side Story moment in the comments and tell us which classic to cover next.